Hello and welcome back to Bookish, and welcome back to another Saturday Hodgepodge, my weekly kind of wrap-up of bookish things, reading, thoughts like that. I had intended for this to be a video that I shot in the truck while I was driving out to go fishing, but Hurricane Delta had other ideas. Now, I'm going to tell you, Hurricane Delta is not coming to where I live. We're on what's called the dry side of the storm, which means that we may get some rain and higher than normal winds, but there'll be no damage. And spare a thought for people of Louisiana who are apparently, particularly in Lake Charles, are apparently going to get their second almost or nearly direct hit in a month from very powerful storms. But anyway, I was going to go fishing. I thought, you know what, I'll just film my Saturday Hodgepodge when I get in the truck. I'll hook up the GoPro to the visor and I'll just do this while I'm driving out to fish. I haven't been able to go out fishing for quite some time, but having some minor health problems that just make it really hard for me to get out and do things like that. Mainly problems with my feet. But it's too rainy today to bother and go out to fish, so maybe I'll get that done sometime next week. One of my many, hopefully, retirement hobbies I can pick up again: reading, writing, fishing. Maybe a little wood carving. I've been fiddling around with the guitar, which I've had for my almost since I graduated from high school, and I still don't really know how to play. But I teach myself to play a piece of music from time to time on the guitar. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been up to. My writing is still going pretty good. Slowed down a little bit since I stopped the writing vlog. I'm almost finished typing chapter 7, and I'll get on to chapter 8, and I'll just say that this is really the first time in this project where I've envisioned the end. I don't know how it is for any of the rest of you who do any writing, but for me, oftentimes when I'm thinking about a writing project, the thing that gets me down is this: just I finish this part and then I have to go on to the next part and so on, and I don't really get to that point where I can see over and see the end, and I'm there now, which hopefully will help me pick up speed and keep going. So far, I've worked on my writing project every day since I started the vlog, or since I ended the vlog, except for one day where circumstances just didn't lend themselves to that. Reading-wise, my reading has slowed down, and so this is kind of a Victober update without a whole lot to say. My reading has slowed down not because of anything going on, but mainly because I'm just enjoying my reading so much. I'm reading Barchester Towers by Anthony Trollope. This is my second Trollope. I read The Warden, which I'm going to say is kind of the prequel or the prelude to the Barchester Chronicles. And this is the second book in that, and I've slowed down in part because I'm just so thoroughly enjoying it. It is just, well, almost dropped it. It is just really brilliant and funny and satirical and involved and complicated, and it really is to me a book about people. The plot of Barchester Towers is really almost like a continuation of the plot of The Warden, except there are far more characters and far more kind of intrigue within the Church of England, and I just love the writing. I love the language. I love the fact that Trollope himself shows up in the novel, not as a character, but to speak to us as the writer. I love his choice of names. I think Obadiah Slope has to be one of the great kind of villain names I've ever read. It's just been a really enjoyable experience. I've got about 150 pages left. I should finish that up sometime today or tomorrow, but I'm really not pushing myself to read faster because I'm just enjoying it so much, and I think that Trollope could be my next Balzac, and there are some similarities I think between the two and the way they approach their characters and their stories, but just really enjoying it, and so I've not been in any hurry to finish that book. And it's possible then that Trollope will become one of my favorite authors. And this kind of brought up an issue with me. I was thinking about kind of our top 10 lists and how we rank our favorites. I do a lot of tags, and a lot of tags basically come down to, what's your favorite, what's your least favorite, what kind of book do you like, what kind of book do you not like, what's an example, this kind of book. And one of the things I was thinking of, and I may have talked about this before, forgive me if I have, and it may not be that interesting of a topic. But one of the things that came up to me, or that I thought about, was that there's a difference in my mind between what I think might be the best books and books that are my favorite. In other words, the books I might believe to be the best works of literature, the best books written by authors in one country or one period of time or whatever, are not necessarily always going to be my favorites. And so I was thinking about this in part because, as I think I've mentioned several times, I'm involved in kind of a Voxer group which is trying to read all of Toni Morrison's novels this year. And this month, I think I read Love this month, or last month, as a part of this effort. And it got me to thinking about Toni Morrison and how great a writer she was and how great her books are. And of all of her books, I think that the greatest book she wrote is Beloved. As a matter of fact, I think I may have said something of this before, I think Beloved may be the greatest American novel. But having said that, that doesn't mean it's my favorite book. That favorite and best are not the same things at all. And while I can see this as being the best book, I think in part because of the story and the complexity and the pain of that book, that I don't think I would ever necessarily consider to be my favorite. As a matter of fact, it's not even my favorite Toni Morrison novel, but I do think it's the best, and I do think it's the best novel written by an American in at least the last, 50, 60 years. It's just a truly great book. And then that brings me to talking about my favorite book, which isn't going to surprise anybody who's watched my channel for a long time. My favorite book of all time is The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. It's not even Hemingway's best book, I don't think, or best novel. And I say all the time, I think Hemingway's a far better short story writer than a novelist. But this is my favorite book, and favorite has a lot more to do with the meaning of how meaningful that book is to you in your life than I think greatness does. And so for me, this book is the book that made me a reader. This is the book that really kind of tapped into and opened my eyes to what, fiction could really be, and made me want to have the experience I had with this book over and over again. It's an experience I would say that I'm having with Trollope and Barchester Tower today. It is that book for me. It appealed to me in so many ways. And a lot of the ways that appeal to me today are not necessarily appeal to me then. It's not necessarily things that appeal to me now or would appeal to me now, except that I have the memory of those things. I've admitted many times that I was, a Hemingway fanboy, and I read everything Hemingway wrote relatively uncritically. And Hemingway's work appealed to me probably because of a certain level of dude broness to it. I love all the discussion of outdoorsiness and the fishing scenes and the discussions of war that show up in Hemingway's books. Those things definitely did appeal to me. In The Sun Also Rises, I fantasized about running with the bulls until I actually knew somebody who witnessed it, and so I didn't really want to do it anymore. But that dream of the Parisian lifestyle and going to cafes, and that was something that appealed to me, as well as just the general sense of partying and fun and all the kinds of things that seem to happen in the book. Even though just like with The Great Gatsby, there's also a lot of sadness and depression there. But all those things appealed to me, and they made me want to read more. And so I started off by reading more Hemingway, and that then led to Faulkner, a reevaluation of Fitzgerald, which then led to, and so on. And that's kind of how reading happened for me. And so this is my favorite book, primarily because of what it means in my life as a reader. So I'm just curious, do you have a book that served that function for you as a reader? If you do, I'd love to see some examples, or see what your book was that's like that for you, and maybe then the difference between your favorite book and what you think the best book is. Also this week, I did on Tuesday, I tried to do a twofer tag on Tuesday, and I did the Fit to Read Fit for Reading tag, which I found to be a really new tag, new questions, a new take. And I also put on that the classics tag at the end. And in the editing process, I cut off the end of the classics tag. So I was able to salvage the recording. So the last two questions of the classics tag are going to come up right now. So there'll be a little bit of a scene change. And I think there's a shirt change. I'm retired. I don't change my shirt as often as I used to. So I'm going to leave those last two parts of the classics tag here. Let's see, prompt number 9. Favorite editions of classics you'd like to collect more of. I'm going to go with the New York Review of Books kind of paperback collections. They have some Balzacs. As a matter of fact, I mentioned The Unknown Masterpiece as the next Balzac I want to read. And it's the New York Review of Books, or the NYRB books. And I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about versions or who the printer is. If it's a book I want to read and I can find a copy of it that I can read, then it doesn't matter to me. So I don't collect books like that. And it doesn't matter the editions, the cover art, none of that really matters to me. So not necessarily a question that's a big deal for me. And then prompt 10 is an underhyped classic you'd like more people to read. And this again is a book I mentioned in the previous tag, but that's Lost Illusions by Honore de Balzac. I really think this is superior to Flaubert's Sentimental Education. The stories are similar, the circumstances are similar, the time period is, I'm pretty sure, essentially the same. But to me, Balzac's version and characters are just better. There's more there's more humor. They're more human. I think Balzac is a more humane writer than Flaubert. So I would definitely go with Balzac's Lost Illusions. And I know I talk about Balzac a lot on my channel, and this is not necessarily the book I recommend all the time as the first one because it's a little bit longer, and I don't want people to get discouraged by the length. But this is a masterpiece. It's a great book. I think it's a little bit underhyped as a classic because of that comparison to Flaubert and Sentimental Education. Anyway, there you go. There's the classics book tag. This tag's been around for quite some time, and I did a search to see who created it. It was created by on a blog, and it's been around forever. If you want to do it, please do. By the way, I think I forgot to mention, I was tagged by Leo from A Little Book Life. I will leave a link to his version of this tag down below. Thank you, Leo, for tagging me, and I'm sorry I didn't remember to mention that until the end here. But there you go. All right, well, there you go. That's my Saturday Hodgepodge for this week. Look forward to your comments in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching.